What's happening at AfterBuzzers? We're right back here, same time, same channel. We're talking Season 3, Episode 3, The Losses of Magic. We got pirates, we got Pegasi, and we got a whole lot else to get into, so stick around.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Just so you can get the joke, just so you can appreciate
Y'all get
joy.
it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Only have eyes for you, but now there's just one eye.
Eye, singular, exactly.
She crushed it like a jello shot. It was amazing.
It's one of my favorite memes, just crushing it.
Crushed eye. Send me your gifts.
Guys, it's that time again. We're talking Season 3, Episode 3, The Losses of Magic, right here on the Magicians After Show on AfterBuzz TV. As you can see, Carrie Lane is not with us. She is in Colorado right now at the Sundance Film Festival. We miss her very dearly. She'll be right back here same time next week. But for now, my name is Ty Matthews. Y'all can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA. We're going to hold it down as we always do. To my left, two of my absolute favorite hosts on the planet. Guys, tell me who you are.
Hey guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
Hey guys, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. You can catch me on Friday on Popcorn Talk at the Unproduced Table Read.
Now,
Yo.
we got a whole lot to get into.
Yo.
First of all, I want to talk about lampreys
Oh no.
and how horrific they are. Because
They're real.
did a little bit of my own research. Guys, if y'all don't know, lampreys are real.
Yep.
I only knew that lampreys were real, not because of this, but because of a game I've been playing recently called The Sexy Brutale, which is a fantastic game.
Okay, is this a mobile game?
No, it's a console game. Long story short, I'll try to keep this tangent short because I have a habit of doing that. You wake up in a mansion during a masquerade ball. People are getting killed, but you have a pocket watch that can rewind time back to the beginning of the party, and you have to change certain things to stop that from happening.
Oh, wow.
And at a certain point, and it's very kind of old school, very sort of modular in its graphics and everything. But the point is, there is a giant water tank with a lamprey inside of it, and it is horrific. And so I had to Google that, and I'm sad that I did because now I know that those exist, and I can never sleep again.
They're like a hellmouth if it were a species. It's not okay.
It's basically like the Master's face if it were less human and had more teeth. I'm talking, that's a Buffy reference, by the way.
There you go.
I just restarted it for the third time. Still holds up.
It's just
You gotta do multiple rewatches.
It's a mouth with a tail, and that shouldn't be a thing.
Oh god, no.
But also, if we can talk about more creatures that are unfortunately real, do y'all know about the emerald wasp or the emerald cockroach wasp? So.
Is that like?
I'm afraid.
Is that the thing that goes up your urine stream and into your urethra?
No, but it's
there
about
are
as
too
pleasant.
Many scary things up there.
The emerald wasp stings. It's a parasitic wasp that preys on cockroaches. It stings their brains in a specific spot that paralyzes them, burrows into their body, much like the lamprey. This is relevant to the show that we're talking about. I promise. Just stick with us. You'll get there.
Wait, is that also like that ant that like shoves it's
similar
into
yeah
there are a lot of gross real things out there in the world,
right? But basically it burrows its way into their brain, feeds on their organs one by one in such a strategy that it keeps them alive the longest, and then hatches out of their body again, like Alice said the lamprey does.
Dude.
We're bringing it all back.
Dude, this is real life.
Horrific.
Dude.
Horrific shit. But thank you guys for joining us.
Yes.
We're happy to be here. We're going to talk about some happy stuff too, because there was a lot of funny moments.
Was it a happy episode though?
I mean, not a happy episode. I won't say that, but there was some levity there.
There was a lot of comedy in this episode.
There is. For
There
all
was
the
not a
darkness
joyful
that
one, but
happens.
it's
Right.
so
Which
freaking funny.
We'll get to that. So we'll start out with Alice in the Woods. She's hunting for a new alarm since the last we saw her last one exploded
The little kitty cat.
in a cloud of so much blood. She goes to visit her parents, who were notified by Quentin that she was still alive pretty much immediately after it happened.
Is Quentin a Boy Scout for that move, or was he doing the right thing?
I was wondering about that. Like, if I was Alice, I'd be like, come on, you can't just give it a little bit of time till you blow up my spot.
Well, not only that, but like, my relationship with my parents is strained, and that's a nice word. Like, And I just went through like a lot of trauma. Like, can I live my life, Quentin? Jesus Christ.
I think he did the right thing.
You think so?
I think if I died and then came back from the dead and I was like, peace, mom and dad.
Right.
And nobody told them.
But-
and then they just randomly see me or something.
Right.
Can you imagine what had happened if he hadn't told them and she showed up?
Right. Yeah. But do you have a stronger relationship with your parents than Alice does with hers?
Yes, but at the same time, can you imagine what would happen?
Sure.
if she-
Sure.
Like, back to my original point.
So her mother, Stephanie, not at all surprised or not at all pleased that it took her this long to visit.
I hate Stephanie.
Yeah.
She is the
If
worst.
I had to choose one that had to
Sure.
go, I would have
Daniel is for sure the winner. He is the
chosen
best.
Right.
her. Well, I mean, to die,
die.
I would have chosen her.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's
so
probably the point.
we see their house in kind of a state of disarray as we find out all of the architectural enchantments have worn off. So it's just kind of a mess.
All their money was enchanted.
They
so
haven't paid taxes in 30 years.
years.
Yeah.
So now they're losing the house too.
Look at these cheapskates living off our hard dollar.
I mean, would you not do the same though?
I was
I
I
totally
thought
would.
the exact same thing when I was watching it. I would absolutely do that.
Now.
Although I feel like
Mm-hmm.
magic is so ancient, though it must have been very easy to rely on it. But it just seems like such a fickle thing if you live in the real world, where you're
Well-
like, maybe I should like stock up a little bit.
Right.
Of
and
savings.
it made me wonder about the economical ramifications of magic in a world like
Like
this.
the banks.
Like how much of a percentage of the population is magic and can get away with just never having to use money for
I mean,
anything.
even if it's only the top 1%, they control a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Watch
also
it-
well, sorry, go for it.
Watch it like the next episode. They're like, all magic is owned by 1%.
Well, they did talk about how like a lot of the major corporations were freaking out because the
Yeah.
magic
True,
was gone.
that's true.
Well, the banks, we had that whole bank heist episode last season where they talked about how, like, you know, most banks are also magically protected.
Forgot about that episode. So good. We also see Carol. I didn't remember Carol. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't remember Carol.
I don't remember Carol. Did you remember Carol?
I did not.
Was she like in the orgy scene? Or
In the chat, that's what I was wondering. The way they played that scene, it made it seem like we were supposed to remember her as much more lithe and much more kind of conventionally attractive. But guys, in the chat, if you remember Carol, let us
Yeah.
know. But let's go to
Andrew Gibbons in the chat says, I hate what this show is doing to kittens. Not cats,
Right?
but kittens. They should be ashamed.
specifically kittens. It takes a very sadistic kind of person.
It does. I was petting my cat's head earlier before I came out, and she's a cat now, but I got her when she was a kitten. And you don't forget how cute they are. You don't forget how cute they are.
So now we go back to we visit Elliot on the Muntjac. He's kind of playing with that key that he relieved Father Poe of on After Island.
Yeah.
He's meeting with Benedict Pickwick. He wants to send a message to Quentin via Rabbit, of course. You know,
How else?
because how else are you going to send a message? But the islands don't like to be mapped, so they just get up and move sometimes.
I love this space where the ocean, the islands, and boats are like, you know what? F all of you.
They're all sentient and they're all pissed.
This is just what we do here, and you need to get on board or die, essentially. It's kind of fascinating to see, like, what are the ramifications? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I want to meet one of these islands.
Right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I have to sneeze.
So Benedict he opens up basically a blank map and says it could be anywhere around here.
Yeah.
But we don't get too much time to ruminate on that because Admiral Lacker spots pirates on the horizon and they're flying the red bones, which means no quarter given.
Oh.
So that's not good. That's not good
Here
news.
to kill.
Not good
Period.
news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pirates never a good sign, especially when you're in a realm like Fillory.
Yeah.
Or an
Magical
exciting
pirates.
sign. I wasn't sure what to expect because this show likes to throw a lot of curveballs at us.
Sure,
I
sure.
thought we might get the singing, dancing kind of pirates, and I was really excited. For
Oh
a
man, like a
second.
whole Pirates of
I thought
Penzance
it was going to
episode.
be like ridiculous pirates. I was like,
They
bring
had
it
to
in.
dance
I wouldn't put it
to
past
board the
it.
boat. Well, they did throw a curveball making the captain a woman. I was like, I mean, that shouldn't be a curveball nowadays.
Right.
But, you know,
Well, but, I
my
mean-
brain was thinking,
Well,
it
to,
would be
Lady
like-
King Pirate is dope.
to be
Yeah.
fair, that was kind of the point by calling that character the Pirate King.
Yeah. Oh, the Pirate King. Exactly.
So next up we see Julia talking to Quentin on the phone. No one can find Katie, so Julia's trying the physical kid's cottage. Quentin says, "Hey, sorry, I gotta run." got to run out of town. My dad got worse all of a sudden. We know that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We see that lamprey moving around in his neck. Yuck. Yikes a million.
Soup's gnarly.
Soup's gnarly.
So I guess if you think about the logistics or the not logistics but the I can't think of the word. It's 10 o'clock at night. The structure. There we go. Let's go with that of the lamprey. What it means is that it's like mouth is like clipping on to the back of your brain.
Stem.
Thank you.
Right.
I got you.
And that's how it's controlling them.
And also,
that's
its teeth are so
then.
deep, and it's like
It's got so many.
you'd imagine, and just no, thank you.
And then we'll get to that later, but skipping ahead a little bit, Quentin even mentions that he can feel it moving around and controlling him and searching his memories.
That's very Puppet Masters.
Yes.
There you go.
That one, that gem.
Wait, so I originally said it was an Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it was Puppet Masters. It was the Donald Sutherland one.
Well, this episode reminded me a lot of The Thing, also John Carpenter's The Thing as well.
Yeah.
All of those movies where you're not entirely sure people are who they say they are.
But wasn't it
Invasion of
worse
the Body
than like
Snatchers.
The Thing, because it would just turn into look like the person?
Yes, exactly. At least with this, you can kind of, when it moves around, like at least Daniel could sort of spot it.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
But yikes either way. So Julia finds Katie and a very, very, very sick Penny
Very sick.
knocking right at death's door.
Yeah.
And Katie reveals that they're going to summon a demon. Because at this point, what else are you going to do?
See, now that's where I thought that was going to go bad. But that demon was pretty cool, man.
That demon was cool, right?
A demon was mad cool, but I would not have summoned it. Nope.
That, I mean, yeah.
Fool me once, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not about that lifestyle.
I mean, they show that kind of like inversion. They summoned a god, and the guy was like crazy and
I
horrible.
was just thinking the exact same thing.
Demon, and the demon's like, hey, what's up? Yeah, chill.
Well, I was thinking the exact same thing because we saw all of the shit that the fairies are putting Margot through.
Yeah.
And those are fairies. And the demons are just like, yeah, I'll help. Just let me eat this cancer or whatever.
They're just a little gross.
Yeah.
He just really
Demons
likes...
get a bad rap, man.
I mean,
That's going to be my soundbite.
was anyone thinking salad fingers when the demon appeared?
Oh, fuck. I didn't before.
Yeah,
Now I hate it.
Wait, salad fingers?
Oh,
Do you not know this internet thing?
Oh,
This
it's
is
horrendous. We'll
from
show
back
you.
in the day.
We'll show you after the air,
Or
guys.
not.
If y'all don't know salad fingers, please go after the show. Of course, go.
Oh my god, the young kids are going to be like, what?
Go look up salad fingers. It's the worst.
It's absolutely horrifying.
So we go back to the Muntjac. We see pirates boarding. Benedict Pickwick takes Elliot and his family aside. Fen at this point is kind of... She's got this like maniacal rage in her eyes. Like she's ready to fight anybody.
Yeah.
Her motherly instincts kicking
Exactly.
in.
Right.
Exactly.
No longer defending a log.
Right. Yeah. At this, she seemed at the very least like in her right mind in this episode.
Yeah. She felt back in her body to me.
Sure,
like
that's what I thought.
She's like, okay, I'm here and I'm present. I don't know how she's not really thinking through to like complete conclusions.
Right.
It's very much like just react right now, which is better than where we were. So I'm happy for her progress.
Sure. Like babying a log.
That's
It's,
weird.
there's always that. You could always be cradling a log.
Very unnerving.
But at that point, Elliot spots a keyhole that he had never seen before on the wall of the ship.
Yep.
So he uses that key that he got from After Island. From
Guys,
Father Poe.
I love magic doors.
I know
love
you-
them
Right.
so
You
much.
got so happy.
Dude, magic doors to different places, like, yes, all of that. And then a key, what? I'm so excited. I wish we could have gotten like a little sneak peek, see what kind of space we're entering. But man, yeah. And then the fact that it was drawn like a chalk outline, I was like, this is where it's at.
Right. It reminded me a little bit of Beetlejuice.
Me
The
too,
whole, the
yes.
chalk.
I was thinking
Oh,
about
I-
Chalk Zone, but this is awesome. Beetlejuice is also great.
I don't think I know what chalk zone is.
Man, I'm gonna throw you guys all the old school shows today.
Yeah.
Check it out.
I'll take it.
I feel like that sounds like something that would have been on the right after like Ghost Rider or something like that.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah, this is a late 90s, early aughts cartoon where
Okay.
a kid gets magic chalk. He can go in Chalk Zone, create anything he wants.
Oh.
Very
Sounds
cool.
kind of familiar.
Kind of like was that Scribble Dots? Anyway, it
Yes.
was a video game, pretty much the same premise.
It is.
Anyway, we see Alice briefly when she's kind of flipping out on Carol because that kitten is hissing and running all over the place. She's convinced.
And then she loses the kitten, thank God.
And it just runs away.
It just goes away.
Luckily.
They're like, we're not blowing up a second cat, guys.
They're like,
we got
sorry.
the message, and that's all
we reached our exploding kitten quota for
that's
the season.
That's the last animal we're gonna brutally kill.
You know
Hopefully.
that's not the case.
I'm hoping we're not jinxing that.
This is magic.
They only kill like one adorable pet or animal per season.
That is true.
That is true.
That's true.
Everything else feels like hunting. You're like, oh, another dead rabbit sucks.
But so Alice kind of flipping out on Carol is just driving that wedge even further between her and Stephanie. Because Stephanie at this point, it seems like she's just not believing any of it, very skeptical.
Yeah,
She's like, yeah, sure, Lamprey, whatever.
It's weird that she doesn't believe because she's a magician. So,
Well, and that's the thing in the show is like, it's weird whenever anyone doesn't believe anything because much weirder things have happened.
Yeah.
Like,
You gotta think that there's a second level to that, right? Like, so first of all, her mom, I think, resents her for being young and for,
yeah.
you know, and especially now, like, her whole life was magic.
Yeah.
Like, every second of her existence was imbued with some kind of magic, which is not something we've seen from any of our main characters. And I think maybe it's hitting because she was already like a lush beforehand.
Right.
And I think coming down to reality and then having all these consequences, I think it's just too much for her maybe to think that there's also there's more bad out there. Like, there's more coming to get her. I just don't think she wants to deal with it. To me, it just seemed like she was like, let me just get more, because that glass was like almost on empty the whole time.
Right.
And you know she was refilling it between like moments where we're with her. Honey is schnockered.
right, well, and eventually as the episode goes on, it goes from a glass to just having the bottle in her hand.
Which I respect, girl. Sometimes it's like that.
Sometimes it feels that way. Going back to Julia and Katie sends Julia off just to get a few things for the spell: a goat femur, some pencil shavings. You know, normal spell stuff.
Just head over to the Whole Foods. They got everything you need right there.
A goat femur. But I love
Whole Foods has a goat femur.
Well, when we go back to Julia, and like not to skip ahead too much, but when we go back to her, it's like she's walking out of the place as if it were that easy.
Yeah.
They got everything good to go.
I recently did see goat heads at a grocery store, like skinned with the eyes. I don't recall which grocery store. I'm in a lot of grocery stores for my day job, but you can find it. That's all I gotta say.
Oh boy,
I saw that somewhere recently where I was like,
I've definitely been to occult shops where you can pick up where you're like, I would not suspect that this was legal to purchase, but dope.
But at a grocery store, I mean, I guess like. I don't know how sheltered I am
out the Ralphs.
for being so taken aback at that. But
well, I mean, you can get beef tongue.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like, I guess that's all relative. Like,
depends on what kind of store you go to. If you go to a butcher and the butcher sells goat meat, then you can probably get part of it because they do their own butchering.
Is there a market for goat
guys.
heads in California? I have questions.
Why people have goat heads in California?
Just is there a market for it? What
Yeah.
are we using goat heads for?
There are a lot of different types of cultures that would use that in their food.
Just visually,
Heads are hard to
it's a
carve.
striking image, is what I'm saying. Not to yuck anyone's yums. It's just a striking image.
Yeah, it is a very striking image.
No skinned heads for you.
Let's move on to one of my absolute favorite lines / scenes of the episode. We get Margot talking to Pickwick about how the farmers are hesitant to replace all of their food with inedible mushrooms.
Yeah.
But Tick proceeds to mansplain the situation to her.
I just was like, let me mansplain this.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't know what that means.
And when she says it's bad, but I'm a man explaining.
Explaining.
Yes.
Is that not mansplaining?
Maybe you could woman-splain it to me.
That whole
Tick, yes.
Black Magic 99. You ever heard yuck anyone's yums? Rizwan Manji is such a good like. He's got such an amazing delivery of these lines. Absolutely one of my favorites. Exchanges. Gillen runs in from the side, says that we've heard from the seagulls that the Muntjac is being boarded by pirates.
Yeah.
So Margot gathers the dick holes, as she calls them, to take well, They don't take the Morgan Downs. The Morgan Downs is a ship that could reach the Muntjac in a week.
Which,
but
feels interesting that they mention a whole ship, the time it could take to get to places.
right.
I bet we come back to that.
Right,
Yeah.
but Margot would rather not. She's got something else in her back pocket. They go to visit the Fairy Queen, who's just chilling in the tub.
Per usual.
You know,
Avon, yeah.
she's
her place.
She's all about self-care, and I respect that.
is.
You know, taking some time for herself.
No one else's self-care
Ex-
but hers, for sure.
Exactly. And Margot is able to sort of kind of explain it to her, like, look, if you want to do all this, that's fine, but if we can't even defend our High King, everyone's coming for us.
Yeah.
Smart, Margaret.
So she can actually reason with
well,
her.
not only can she reason, like, maybe she's been really, like, not a step ahead, but keeping up with this queen, which I think is remarkable, because this lady is scary as hell.
Yeah.
From the coded languages to this, to squeezing her own eye pop.
Woo.
I put all bets on Margot. I think she's got this. I have faith in her.
She's the destroyer for a reason.
It's so true.
You know? So she convinces her the queen is going to fly her via Pegasus to the Muntjac, which of course Pegasi exists in this universe.
First of all, the description of, like, it's like a horse fucked a bird. It's actually the other way around.
Scratch that. Reverse it.
And now I have to think about that forever.
Oh, we saw I thought we saw Pegasus, but we saw a unicorn. Was that season 2? Okay.
Yes. Oh, good call. Good call. Yeah. So we go back to the house, back to the Quinn household. Daniel is helping Alice tie up Carol because now he's Team Alice.
Wait, no, I thought Carol escaped.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay,
not
okay.
yet. They find out from an old Sumerian text that lampreys are resistant to lightning, so they've rigged up this kind of makeshift cattle prod.
It's crazy.
You know,
Exactly what I would call it. Yes.
And they shock Carol, much to her chagrin. That's when she finally breaks out. Screw all of this.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I would too.
Which is
Poor
fair.
Carol.
It's fair. But Quentin shows up. Quentin has followed Alice all the way here.
Well, yeah, because they can track them, right?
Right.
So the lampreys can
Exactly.
track.
Hence his whole sick dad excuse.
Yep.
No one's buying
Messed
it.
up.
No one's
It's
buying
messed
it.
up.
We go back to the ship. We find out the sort of the lineage of a Pegasus real quick from the Fairy Queen. But we meet Hoop of the pirates, and we find out that most of the pirates can also see the Fairy Queen.
Yeah.
Most pirates have made a fairy
made a
deal
deal.
at one point or another.
They're negotiators. They're skilled negotiators. They know. But Tick takes Margot aside and kind of reminds her of his family's reputation as pickpockets. And sort of heavily, I love all the coded conversations that are happening this
So
season.
good.
It was so good. Just, I love it.
I just love the writing for this show. The idea of having to constantly speak, like, it's such a great challenge for the writers to set up for themselves, and then for them to accomplish it so nicely. It's super awesome, and I really love Pick. Like, even though we didn't get as far as maybe we wanted to with the eye, just his willingness to go and get it, and his loyalty to Margot. Even though when he first sees the Fairy Queen, he bows to her, and I'm like, this is some bullshit.
Right.
Like, Margot has been queen for how long? Just really trying to keep you all together, and not one scrape or bow, but immediately you're like, Fairy Queen, knees.
Yeah.
Jerks.
Well, the moment he said I can steal the eye, I was like, oh, it's his teeth we see in the trailer.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Jesus.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, it's his teeth. He's gone. It's
I
his teeth.
can't handle that much pain against Pick. Like,
That's what I
random
thought.
strangers I don't know take all their teeth. Pick, oh my heart.
So we go back to the Quinn household. That cattle prod that they used on Carol is out of juice, so Alice has to steal a car battery.
I love how they're like, isn't there a car in the garage?
How like clueless Daniel was just about how cars
I was
work.
like, oh my god, how do they get around then? Like, do they just like
It
create
just pop in
portals
and out.
everywhere?
Yeah,
I guess,
essentially.
like a car is just for aesthetic. It's just
Right.
a look
I mean,
to
their
have.
Right.
lovers are like from different universes. Like,
This
these guys are not concerned about
When I
space
think
or
about
time.
like we've never seen them outside the house either.
right. Interesting. They're not they're not strictly speaking travelers like Penny.
No.
But there
No.
could be a different method of transportation.
Well, like the
via
clock,
magic.
or
Sure.
like the phone box from like back in the 40s.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you used it to get to Fillory, that kind of stuff. I'm sure that kind of portal magic still has a place.
That's true. That's true. Now let's talk about this homeless woman that Julia runs into coming out of the store,
Right.
because
I love oracles.
she's just happening by, you know, gives her some money, something like that. But then the homeless woman grabs her, says, "You're missing the signs, Julia. I thought you'd be further along. We're going to have to push you." The hell does that mean?
And who was it?
Right?
I want to believe that it's the chick who guided Quentin through first. She died. She was the little girl from the book. Why am I blinking so hard on her name?
Jane?
Jane.
Interesting. Okay.
I really like the idea of it being Jane
Sure.
come back from the grave to be like, look,
But why would
once
she go
again,
to Julia, though?
I have to save magic. Well, because she knew Julia in a bunch of lifetimes.
My God.
Oh, that's right.
And the only thing that
multiple
made it
lifetimes.
work was that Julia was kicked out of, wasn't accepted to school in the first place, so she had to learn the magic by herself so that she could get to this point in the first place, which goes back to my original statement that I don't think she's God touched. I think that this is something that Julia has started by having to learn magic all by herself from the start, and now she's powerful enough to like reignite it.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yay. I can use one of those.
Right.
So Alice finds Quentin in the garage. The lamprey has left him after threatening to beat his skull in.
With a car battery, guys. I was
Yeah.
worried for Quentin's head for a minute. I was
Right.
like, oh my God, don't like. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Let's also
upstairs.
just jump back real quick to the way that Alice took it out of the car, just by beating the shit out of it with a hammer.
I was like, it's so much easier than that. If you just have the right tool, you just need one. You just
it's so easy.
It's a little heavy. It's not as light as she was making it look. I'm like, car batteries are pretty. they got some
She
weight
was
to
able
them.
to swing it around with one arm pretty easily.
It's not that easy. They're kind of they're dead weight.
dense.
Yeah.
But so we see that slime trail that the lamprey left behind. So we know for sure that it's not in Quentin anymore.
Yeah.
But we realize that he could have killed Alice when he had the chance.
It's in the house.
It's always in the house. It's always coming from inside the house. But we realize that it's not necessarily wanting to kill Alice. It's after something else.
But okay. Whenever we get to the point where the lamprey like breaks down what makes Alice break down what
Oh man.
she did. The moment I realized that, I was like, oh, I know what this lamprey wants.
Right.
Yeah.
So we find Penny. We see Penny waking up. We get a nice little scene between him and Katie.
Yeah.
We realize that obviously a lot of bad stuff happened with the vanishing of magic, but that also means all the voices are gone from his head.
Yeah.
So small victories.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's still dying.
He's still dying.
But at least now he
Hashtag
doesn't
still
have
dying.
like other people's voices in his head as he dies.
But we know he can't actually die. Like even if
What do you mean he can't actually die?
Because he signed up
'cause he
to
just
do
goes
the
to the
library
library?
thing.
Right.
But he can still die.
You
It's
can die
living
a
or
physical
dead.
death, but your
Air quotes around die,
spirit
sure.
is kind of connected to a thing. It was just really hard for me to be like, oh no, Penny, because I was like, well, he's sticking around. He's not going anywhere.
That's sort of the difficulty with trying to raise the stakes in terms of life and death here. I think there is something to be said for like the permanent death of his corporeal form.
Yeah.
And not being able to hang out with his buds.
Oh yeah.
He can't. If he's trapped in the library for all eternity, that's on some like Black Mirror shit.
That's on some Doctor Who shit.
You know?
It's in the
That's on
library.
some Twilight Zone shit.
There you go.
Let's just keep referencing
Stuck in the
all
library,
the
no
sci-fi
glasses.
that
Pick
came
your-
before.
Pick your poison.
Not dead yet.
What's that?
It's not dead yet.
Exactly. It's just the Black Knight all over
Yeah.
again.
Just keep going and get back to like radio shows from the 1930s.
Old serials, right? So we go back to Tick Pickwick, who has successfully pickpocketed Margot's eyeball from the Fairy Queen.
Yep.
Which, like, I would have liked to see how that played out, because that had to be a tense, like, lifting.
Because now I have questions. Like, did the Fairy Queen be like,
I see you.
right? Like, I have a feeling that she's just like,
That's the thing.
Okay.
It's so hard to believe that she would have been that oblivious. Although,
She's not oblivious to so much.
right? But I mean, I guess if his family is that well known for being pickpockets, maybe he's that good.
But were they known for it as? Sorry, I'm a little congested, you guys. So I'm going to sound more and more congested as the night goes on. Were they known for it through magical uses? I guess not. I guess he can also do it practically.
Could be. It could be a little bit of both. Yeah. But we finally meet the Pirate King.
Yep.
Who's a woman who is because she can be called whatever the fuck she wants.
Thank you.
Which is awesome.
Lesbians are my favorite.
This scene was a steamy parlay.
Yeah.
Or I guess a pre. This was like,
Yeah.
Prelay.
There's a prelay.
Hey.
Oh, Joelle.
There we go.
Gorgeous. So Margot wants to talk business.
Yeah.
The Pirate King is after something different. Exactly. But Margot's, she's keeping her cards close to the chest. She's like, look, we'll talk business, then maybe.
Yeah.
But I love that line. She says, something tells me you're not the type to respect the safe word.
What's a safe word?
Exactly.
We're out of here.
Yeah.
Way to establish boundaries early in the relationship, Margot.
Get it.
Smart.
And I love that line from the four parlay. I like that Black Magic. I love the line from the Pirate King that she could never control herself around a one-eyed girl.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their thing.
Hey, you're a pirate. You probably run into a lot of one-eyed other pirate kings.
That's a good. I never thought of that. See, it all makes sense.
Yep.
It all makes sense. We go back to the Quinn household. Stephanie is pissed at being cooped up in that room with Daniel and Allison Quentin.
Because they have to put the plastic around to
the
ensure
plastic.
that it can't- Yep.
Exactly, plastic on everything.
But wait, so when did it get Dad then?
That's what I was wondering.
It must have got Dad when we saw from its point of view
Inside the vent?
when they were still in the garage.
Right.
When she left the room to go get more liquor.
Yep. I was wondering. Yeah, because I was trying to track like who it was in at certain points.
Because it never got into Stephanie.
Right.
I was said that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It was only ever in Quentin and Daniel. Right.
Yep.
Man. Stephanie, she has to pee.
Yep.
Just
Way to be a child, Stephanie. I believe fully that you could hold it.
Or just pee in a vase.
So many options that don't require everyone to put their lives on the line to save your dumbass. I hate Stephanie.
And normally I would just gloss over that as kind of a throwaway line, but we do get a little bit of insight in Stephanie's history when she says, look, I'm not peeing in front of your father. If I'd wanted that in my marriage, I would have stayed with Jean-Claude.
Yes.
Which
And I
is
was like,
a deep look.
like Jean-Claude?
Van Damme.
The Van Damme guy? I didn't think that was his thing. I thought that was a Steven Seagal thing. Ooh.
Oh, I didn't even. Hey, at least it wasn't Richard Gere. We know that much.
We know it wasn't that.
We knew the rumors about him.
Or maybe an R. Kelly.
Oh, that's
Too far. Shots fired.
Jesus. So, but it repeatedly comes up in the episode. Both like Quentin, Stephanie, Daniel all ask Alice separately, what did you do to this lamprey?
Yeah.
And she won't tell any of them. Each time she has a different deflection.
Yeah. She finally tells Daniel.
Right. And it is dark. It's dark.
Okay.
But
question.
even then, that's only a half truth. What she originally tells him.
It's mostly a lie.
That's the thing. Yeah,
It's mostly a lie.
she says, yeah, I killed its whole family over and over because I was seeking knowledge.
And that's
But that's
what you're
it's
doing.
no.
And also, like, the lie is so extensive because it's emotionally manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was trapped by something greater than myself and not in control of my actions.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
we
now
know
I'm
that's not
trying to make
true.
some kind of amends for it.
Right.
But not only were you completely in control, you were having fun.
Right. In fact, yeah. Let's jump to that part. We find out later on that she literally only killed its family
just to see the pretty lights.
just to see the pretty lights. And when they died slowly.
So, well,
That's right.
here's when I discovered that Nif and Alice wasn't just Nif and Alice. Like, she had some kind of understanding. And that when she came back, it wasn't her just being like, I'm angry because now I have to feel things again. It was like, no, you were much more aware as an Nifin than we originally thought.
True.
I think when we saw her brother as an Nifin and when we saw other people as an Nifin.
Right.
So it was kind of sad to see that little smirk come on her face when she like fries the lamprey.
And sees those lights again.
And when when the lamprey breaks down, like, but when the lamprey breaks down, just how horrible it was, because it wasn't just the family. Like, this is like the parent. And
right,
so
it's
like,
children.
he killed
Yeah,
all of my children. And in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, you're coming to kill, like, one of your parents is going down.
Yeah.
Right.
And the lamprey warned her. He was like, or
You
she,
shock
or
him.
whatever. Like, if
His
you
heart is
if
weak.
you
about
shock
his
me,
dad's weak heart or her dad's weak
you're
heart.
gonna kill him.
I'm gonna
Right.
make you kill him the way you killed all my children.
Yeah.
This also harkens back to the very first episode of this season where they're naming all of our party, and they name a torturer.
Yep.
And we had thought about it with
Yes.
Alice, and then and now we know, and it doesn't seem like that's gonna go away.
Yeah.
And I also think that, to me, maybe this is who Alice always was, but she was so repressed in those first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So much, like, repressed from the years of living with her crazy ass parents to losing, like, the one sane thing around her brother, to needing to, like, save and protect everyone, that finally, when she became a Niffin, she was able to explore, like, what does she want to do, and surprise, Alice wants to torture things.
Well, it's just like, I said this literally like 2 hours ago to someone. I was like, power just shows you who you really are.
Right.
Like-
Right.
like-
Well, and in the chat, Black Magic, he brings up a good point, or they bring up a good point. Sorry, that it isn't necessarily bad what Alice did. I mean, lampreys are parasites. It's sadistic, but
Okay. So here's the thing. If a spider, this is what I always say, if a spider comes into my house, it's fair game. Like,
I have a strict no trespassing rule against
like,
spiders.
don't
I feel you.
enter my space. If I go out into the world and encounter a spider, if I go out into the world and encounter a parasite, like that parasite that goes up your urethra, or goes up your urine into your urethra.
Oh, Jesus.
It happens in the Amazon. I knew the risks when I jumped in the water, okay? But if I go out and seek these things and go, I'm just going to torture you for fun, I'm sadistic and crazy.
Right.
So it's kind of like, yeah, it might be a parasite, but like, that's a whole nother thing.
Also, Alice wasn't like an exterminator clearing a space.
Yeah.
Like, she was specifically going after them, so because their death brought her joy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That
It's
is a
like,
very specific kind of sadism.
it's like, it's not even like big game hunters where you can use. They're like, oh, well, like mountain and it's art, or the thrill of the hunt.
Sure.
Like, they're not that hard to find.
Yeah.
They're kind of slow outside of a body. Like, this was torture in every aspect.
Yeah.
And again, I think just the most interesting thing is, like, Alice liked it. Like, this to me was kind of mind blowing. I never saw Alice as evil before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I had every excuse in the book for her.
Like
she was
non-Niffin Alice.
tortured. Right.
Right.
Like, even like Niffin Alice again was succumbing to a thing that was beyond her control. We've seen that Niffin mostly kills the people it inhabits. So she was just strong for surviving.
Finally.
Sitting on that for 45 minutes.
And now I kind of wonder, how does Quentin the Good,
Yeah.
the everlasting Boy Scout,
Right.
how does he?
So
I
once again, all
understand,
relative.
definitely relative. But how does he like cope or decide to maneuver his relationship with Alex? Because she's straight up like, so I'm definitely not that person anymore.
Well, I think for Quentin, it's always going to be like, but I remember the person you were. And,
Right.
and that's something where it's like, and this is a really dark turn, but like, it's like when you tell somebody that their family member did a horrible crime or is a serial killer, and they'll go, but that's not the person I know.
Right.
And I think that's how
He's a
Quentin will
good
justify it
guy.
in his mind, is that, well, that's just not the Alice I know.
Right.
But if we think about it, we kind of got clues from just like Alice's family that, she comes from a very self-absorbed, a very, I care about the statics of things family. And to say that couldn't be a part of her is just not true. Like, I carry the darkest parts of my parents as well as the lightest parts, and so I think it'll be interesting to see her maybe get to a point where she has to battle it, just like we saw with Julia. Julia was not the most pleasant character season 1.
Right.
And we kind of got to watch her, even before that whole thing with Reynard, we kind of watched her kind of go through her own evolution. So it'll just be interesting to see, like, which side she ends up choosing. Will she choose the Force?
And
Will she choose the dark side?
Exactly, and that's the thing. Just because she was one way when Quentin met her doesn't mean that that's her truest form.
Exactly.
And I would say she started off as chaotic neutral, and now the more I'm watching her, she's kind of, I don't want to say.
You don't think she started as lawful good?
She had a lot of rules, but was never able to really abide by them.
Sure.
So I don't know where that
All
kind
the
of
best
falls.
intentions.
Yeah, but she would just like go off and be like, I'm doing it now. Thank you for bringing us Mothman. You crazy chick.
Mothman.
I know
Mothman's been back in the news lately. Oh man. So we go back to the parlay session between the Pirate King and Margot. Pirate King not only wants 3,000 Felorian gold crescents, but we find out a little bit about the pirate ship, about the Sika.
Dude.
Right? It's a Deer-class vessel, just like the Muntjac, and it turns out first of all, another inversion. Normally, we always hear that vessels, ships, are always female.
Yep.
The Sika is a male.
Yep.
He scented the Muntjac, and thus wants to lay with her, to put it delicately.
When they start describing what happens to the ships, I was like, what?
Right.
They described the ship as like living and liking them in the last episode.
Yeah.
I couldn't really connect to that. I'm like, okay, it has a heart. I recognize that it's living. I respect that. Interesting. I wonder how its personality will develop.
Right.
It's interesting to see that 8 cannot speak for itself.
Yeah.
Like she's asking it direct questions, and there's no like. I thought it was going to be a very cheesy glowing heart. I should know better with this show. To then have to be like, okay, well, you're not only living but unable to do anything.
Like, if I tell you
it,
to do this thing,
then it's over.
you must
That's
do
what
it.
You have to, yeah.
I think Fillory is such an interesting, strange place in terms of like their gender politics and what's cool and what's not cool, and like how it jumps back and forth between this like more, I guess, futuristic, because we're modern, but we ain't that modern, y'all. Mindset, and this kind of like archaic traditional mindset, and just like even how they talked about how like tribal matriarchies, when they're referring to the fairies, can always be like, or they said something like derogatory about it, but I was like, but it's just interesting that you address that as a tribal matriarchy, which is like nice to hear. Or the Pirate King being a woman, and then we get to the boat, and it's like, so basically, Margot, you have to, as a woman, sign off on this boat that is considered a female boat to be raped by this male boat.
And by a male boat.
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, rape by anyone is still rape, but like at the same time,
yeah,
it was
that's
like,
true, yeah.
it was like, I just wasn't expecting another rape dialogue.
Right. Well, and we sort of we kind of go on the same arc as Margot does, where at first it's sort of played for laughs, like, oh, the boats are gonna fuck, haha, like that's kind of cute and sort of funny, like in the way that the books, having sex was, but then it gets a lot more solemn and a lot darker when they talk about not only the kind of the rape aspects of it, but also the aftermath and the PTSD that it can experience.
And then they never sail the same again.
That it could potentially have to put into dry dock.
To build on your gender politics conversation, it's interesting that that's when the fairy queen is like, oh,
yeah,
like she's like, well, you started acting like a queen because you stood up for your subjects, which is not something I ever would have thought she would admire in a person. So now I'm like, this show changed my opinion drastically about two female, like this episode rather. First with Allison and now with the queen, I don't know what you want. I thought I understood.
It changes her intentions.
I thought she was here to rule and basically to generally wreak havoc and make these people uncomfortable and unhappy, and she was getting some kind of sick pleasure out of that. But now, like, what I need you to be is a queen, and I need you to plant these things. Like, where are you going?
Right.
Yeah, where is this going? Is she trying to like overthrow Elliot? Like, what's happening?
It definitely feels like more than just mischief.
Well, do we think that Margot will, at a certain point in the season, come to a crossroads where she is almost has the opportunity to inherit the Fairy Queen's throne?
Oh,
is the Fairy Queen maybe grooming a replacement?
Cool. I would really like that.
I would really love, especially in the current climate, if this show took all the women, sorry, I'm being very congested, and put them in positions of power.
Okay.
So we have like Alice is like the main villain, and then we have Margot is like a fairy queen, and you know, everyone ends up having some type of power, and basically the guys are just kind of left there to be like, what do we do?
Right, exactly.
Totally.
That would amuse me.
So Margot, she obviously, we've seen Margot has a heart. She kind of she delivers this speech to the Muntjac where she's like, look, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Of course the Fairy Queen is listening because she's always listening.
Always.
And so she's like, look, I've got your back. I'm going to kill all of these pirates.
Yeah, and collect their
I was
teeth.
so sad to see the Pirate King killed so quickly.
You know what? I'm not down for the Pirate King, okay? Because the Pirate King was going to be like, yeah, let my ship mount your ship.
Also true.
That's true.
Also true.
So bye, Pirate King.
So you
So I'm not sorry for your death. I take it back.
so you get
and you
killed.
were very sexually aggressive with Margot.
Very aggressive.
Just saying.
So they get killed. They
Even
lose.
though it was flirtatious
They lose all
and
their
stuff.
teeth.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine that came before the killing.
Yeah.
Although I guess we didn't really see a lot of like mouth mutilation. I don't know.
Well, if the fairies have magic, then maybe.
Also, it
Sure.
seemed as though she wasn't, because she poured a couple in, and
Yeah.
then more, and a whole
then a
handful,
giant
and then a
handful.
little more, and I was like, are you magically collecting them like they were just in their mouths and now they're in your hand? I don't know how she operates, and I need answers because she scares me. She's like literally the stuff of nightmares.
Right.
And proving that point further is the double-edged sword of like, oh, but also I know you took my eye and I need it back.
She knows that.
Oh, what?
She takes it back. She puts a song that Gillen hates in his ear for it to never leave and slowly
Until it
drive him
drives
crazy.
insane. And we know, we know that she knows it was Tech. And
Right.
she's like, well, I'm just gonna put Ken.
Exactly.
And also
yeah.
because we were just introduced to this character this episode, I believe.
Yeah.
I think
No,
we've
he's
seen him
been
briefly once or
around
twice.
a little bit.
Yeah, but not
Not
he
enough.
had a line this episode.
Right,
Maybe
right,
we've
right.
seen him in the back, or he's like had one line here.
Sure,
and there.
sure.
So I was kind of like, well, he's the one.
But then, so Margot kind of pulls that power play where it's like, look, yeah, I'll give you my eye back after I crush it in my hand right here so
Like,
you can't
we
spy
can
on
never
me.
be repaired. She's like, good.
Which made me kind of question the fairy. I'm like, what are you doing? So you were saying that you would have eventually given her eye back?
Mm-hmm.
She feels very much like Jigsaw right now, who's just like, if you had just been patient,
Right.
I'd have given you what you wanted.
Right, exactly.
Nobody listens. And it's like, okay, that's a power trip to a whole kind of like
If you had
extreme.
just cut off your foot, if you had just shot that dude when I told you to shoot him.
Right.
I'm thinking more of the
Cut off
third
your
one
foot.
where he keeps the
Exactly.
cop's son in a safe.
Oh,
and
in
he's
a
like-
safe place? And
Yeah,
that was
it's
the second one.
literally in a safe the whole time, and all you had to do was sit there and talk to him like he asked, and you would have had your son back. Wow.
Stupid Donnie Wahlberg.
Spoiler alert, sorry.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen
But
Saw
it's been
2.
like over a
Decade, but
Yeah.
still sometimes,
That's
you know.
true. I did have Battlestar Galactica as well last.
So real quick, we only got a couple minutes left. At the very, very end, Astaroth with an E, not with an A, takes that juicy cancer out of Penny, puts it in his pocket for later, closes up the wound, pieces out. Penny comes back for like a split second.
He doesn't peace out before.
Yeah, he's there.
still there.
Oh yeah, that's right. He tells him, "You called me too late."
Yeah.
And Penny, it looks like he wakes up for a split second, and then he's out.
To die.
And
he's
we get that amazing
astrally projected out of
right.
his body.
We get that amazing sweeping shot of Katie, then Julia, and then him looking at his own corpse.
like,
What
what?
the fuck?
Also,
Yeah.
and a real quick jump to the first time he astrally projected, the first time Astaroth digs into his body, he goes, "Look, you would do it too."
Yeah.
And Astaroth says, "No shame, bro."
Yeah.
Astaroth
I
is
love
too
this
cool
demon.
for school.
It was so painful.
Too cool.
So, yikes a million.
Yeah.
Steve, real quick, let's get in on some quick predictions.
Lightning fast predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions.
predictions.
Amazing. Gotta get a theremin.
Yeah, so
There you go.
maybe we get zombie Penny.
Okay, interesting.
Have we had
Interesting.
zombies yet?
Not strictly speaking. I mean, I guess we've had things that have sort of acted zombie adjacent.
We've had things reanimated for brief periods of time
Sure.
to
Yeah.
tell their story.
Yeah.
But that is about it.
That's true. Okay. All right.
I think we're going to see more of this dark side of her next week, which I really look forward to.
Okay.
And I'm hoping Penny gets a strong storyline because I miss him
Just hoping.
being
Yeah.
present and active in
Right.
the story that we're telling.
I also hope they all finally get together.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
I don't know. I mean,
All
we
joined
also
together.
don't know where Elliot is, and
You
so
guys, magic door.
Yeah, where did that door lead to?
Where is Elliot?
Right. So, okay, so Zombie Penny, Evil Alice. I'm thinking maybe Fairy Margot at some point in the
love it.
season,
That'd be
even
really
if
cool.
just briefly. Who knows? If you're in the chat, tweet us, find us online. We're about to tell you right now where to find us. Tell us your predictions and join us right back here next week, same time, same channel, talking season 3, episode 4 of The Magicians. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you're on YouTube, leave us a thumbs up. If you're on iTunes, download, comment, review, subscribe, rate, 5 stars if you're nasty. But guys, for now, where can they find you?
you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Hi guys, I'm Joelle Monique. You can find me all over the internet at Joelle Monique, every week at blackgirlnerds.com. And this Tuesday, February 29th, I will be in the presence of Michael B. Jordan.
January 29th.
Whatever. Yes, January 29th. Black Panther's
So
coming
excited.
up. I'm going to be at the junket. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram for all the inside details.
There, of course. Now you guys can find Carrie Lane. She will be here same time next week. You can find her online at Carrie D Lane. For now, my name is Ty Matthews. Y'all can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA. Check out Champions of Wrestling from Hollywood Saturdays. Check your local listings if you like wrestling. If you're into that sort of stuff, who knows? But we'll be right back here, guys, talking episode 4. So make sure to join us then. But until then, peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.